Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Surbhi Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 24th of January. Maldivian Defence Minister meets Indian counterpart in New Delhi. Pakistani court to hear pleas against verdicts in corruption cases against Nawaz Sharif on February 18th. And US assures troops pullout will not affect security, says Afghan CEO. And now for all the details. Maldivian Defence Minister Maria Ahmed Didi was accorded a ceremonial guard of honour in Indian capital New Delhi on Thursday as she began her first official visit outside her country. She later held talks with her Indian counterpart to boost defence ties between the two nations. Maldives Defence Minister Maria Ahmed Didi was accorded a ceremonial welcome in New Delhi on Thursday as she began her first official visit outside her country. The Maldivian minister was received by her Indian counterpart Nirmala Sitharaman on her arrival at the South Block, which houses the Defence Ministry. She inspected the guard of honour in the forecourts of the South Block. Later in the day, the Maldivian Defence Minister held talks with Sitharaman at her office aimed to boost the existing ties between the two countries. The visit comes amid Indian government's plan to restart conversation with Maldives on renewing the coastal surveillance radar system project as part of the Defence Cooperation Dialogue made by the former President of Maldives, Abdullah Yamin. India has helped Maldives in improving its surveillance capabilities and has permanently based its 2 helicopters there and other technological aids in defence. In news from Pakistan, the Islamabad High Court on Thursday set February 18th as the date for hearing the pleas against verdicts in corruption cases against former Premier Nawaz Sharif. Sharif is in prison since December 24th after being sentenced to jail for 7 years in Al Azizia Steel Mills corruption case.
The Islamabad High Court on Thursday set February 18th as the date for hearing the pleas filed by Pakistan's former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and the National Accountability Bureau against the verdict in 2 corruption references against him. Sharif was sentenced to 7 years in prison by an accountability court in Al Azizia reference in a verdict announced on December 24th. Meanwhile, he was acquitted in the flagship corruption reference. Sharif had filed an appeal in the High Court against the accountability court's verdict and also submitted a supplementary petition seeking suspension of the sentence. In its appeal against Sharif's acquittal in the flagship reference, the anti-corruption watchdog had contended that the court's acquittal of the former premier was not justified. In its other appeal, the Accountability Bureau argued that Sharif was found guilty with all charges against him proven, and the 7-year jail term awarded in the Al Azizia reference was not enough and should be increased.
Moving on, a US-based advocacy group for the rights of Muhajirs, the Voice of Karachi, has demanded the Pakistani state to declare Karachi and other urban areas of Sindh province as an autonomous region. The group highlighted discrimination and human rights violations suffered by Muhajirs and Sindhis at the hands of Pakistani establishment. The Voice of Karachi, a US-based advocacy group for the rights of Muhajirs, has formally demanded Pakistan to declare Karachi and other urban areas of Sindh province as an autonomous region. On the occasion of the advocacy group's first anniversary earlier this week, its chairman Nadeem Nusrat unveiled a Greater Karachi plan. Nusrat said it has been well over 70 years, but Muhajirs, the Urdu-speaking immigrants who left India during partition in 1947 and came to Pakistan, have still not been accepted worthy of equal rights.
All the urban areas of Sindh province be declared as an autonomous region, which means that these areas, just like the region in Iraq, the Kurdish region, these areas should have autonomy when it comes to their all domestic issues.
Muhajirs have long claimed to have been suffering discrimination and even human rights violations at the hands of a nation which they say does not accept them as their own. Several activists have raised concerns in the past, blaming that innocent people from religious and ethnic minorities are subjected to torture, killings and enforced disappearances for raising their voices in the country. In news from Afghanistan, Afghanistan's Chief Executive Officer Abdullah on Wednesday said the United States has assured Afghanistan government that any US troop pullout will not affect the combat abilities of the remaining forces in the country.
Afghanistan's Chief Executive Officer Abdullah on Wednesday said the United States has assured Afghanistan government that any US troop pullout would not affect the combat abilities of the remaining forces. Speaking on the sidelines of Summit of World Economic Forum in Davos, Abdullah said that news last month that President Donald Trump was planning to withdraw 5,000 US troops had caused unease in the government. He, however, clarified that US officials had told the Afghan government that no final decision had been made on this and that Washington remained committed to supporting Afghan defense and security institutions.
So the announcement, yes, of course, initially it came with some concerns for all of us. Later on, through engagement with their envoys and representatives, we learned that even if there is a withdrawal, it will be partial. It will not have an impact on the combat capabilities. But one cannot take a comment by the President of the United States for granted.
Trump has been impatient for progress in ending the 17-year-old war in Afghanistan, where more than 2,400 US forces have died. At its peak, the US deployment involved more than 100,000 troops, but Washington withdrew most in 2014 and now has around 14,000 troops in the country as part of a NATO-led mission aiding Afghan security forces and hunting militants.
A horticulture fair was recently organized in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province to create awareness among the farmers about the latest techniques in the field of horticulture. The event was aimed at providing a platform to the farmers, experts and entrepreneurs to interact with each other. With an objective of creating awareness among the farmers about the latest technological advancements in the field of horticulture, a Horti Vision 2019 fair was organized recently in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province. During the fair, different samples of dry and fresh fruits were displayed to educate the farmers about the benefits of growing new fruits. Besides this, latest tools, farm machinery and horticulture products were also displayed by different companies for selling them to the farmers on subsidized rates. The event was aimed at providing a common platform to the horticulture experts, scientists, entrepreneurs and fruit growers to discuss new ideas for the growth of horticulture sector in the province.
ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म फार्मर को दिया जाता है। हमारे जम्मू के जो 10 डिस्ट्रिक्ट हैं जिसमें सब ट्रॉपिकल फ्रूट प्लांट्स वाले भी फार्मर होते हैं, टेम्परेट वाले भी होते हैं और प्रोसेसिंग का अलग अलग विंग्स से हमारे जो एक्सपर्ट्स यहाँ आए होते हैं और लोगों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म मिलता है कि किस खित्ते में कौन सा जो फल का पौधा लगाया जाए ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उसकी पैदावार उगाई जाए।
The horticulture industry in the province is the backbone of its economy, contributing billions of rupees from the export of the fruits to the other parts of the country and abroad. A fresh spell of snowfall in various hill towns of India's northern Himachal Pradesh province has brought cheers to the tourists as they have been turned into a winter wonderland. Tourists from across the country and abroad are thronging the hilly province to experience snowfall and enjoy cold weather.
A fresh spell of snowfall in India's northern hill town of Shimla has brought cheer to the tourists and locals alike as it has turned the popular resort town into a winter wonderland. Tourists were seen throwing snowballs at each other and enjoying the cold weather in the northern hilly province on Wednesday. Revelers from different parts of the country who thronged the picturesque hilly town, famous for its scenic beauty, came out of their lodges, hotels and guest houses to enjoy the snowfall.
लाइफ का फर्स्ट टाइम देख रहा हूँ, इतना मन में इतना खुशी है, मैं प्रकाश नहीं कर सकता हूँ भाषा में, ठीक है। पहली बार इतना अच्छा देख रहा हूँ, लाइव स्नोफॉल देख रहा हूँ, पूरा खुशी में पूरा पागल हो गया हूँ हम दोनों, ठीक है। बहुत एंजॉय कर रहा हूँ।
Similar scenes were witnessed in northern hill town of Dharamshala, where the entire town was covered with white layer of fresh snowfall. People were also seen sitting around small bonfires to keep themselves warm.
सर मौसम तो कल से ही थोड़ा ख़राब हो गया था और आज तो आप देख ही रहे हो, स्नोफॉल अभी थोड़ी देर पहले हटा हुआ है और बारिश थोड़ी थोड़ी हल्की हल्की सी आ रही है।
Tourism is a mainstay of Himachal Pradesh economy, with hill stations like Shimla, Dharamshala and Kufri being major contributors. During winters, holidaying crowds from India and other parts of the world also prefer to spend their time in high-altitude regions of Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir to experience snowfall and enjoy cold weather.
Mauritian Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth on Thursday visited the Kumbh Fair, the ongoing world's largest religious gathering in India's Prayagraj city. He said the visit will further consolidate the deep relations between India and Mauritius.
Prime Minister of Mauritius Pravind Jugnauth on Thursday visited Kumbh Fair, the world's largest religious gathering underway in India's northern Prayagraj city. Leading a group of delegates who arrived in India for an overseas Indians conference earlier this week, Jugnauth said the visit will further consolidate the deep relations between India and Mauritius. He appreciated the excellent arrangements made for the fair and said it is a unique spiritual experience for him and for the delegation.
It's a unique spiritual experience for me and my wife and my delegation. And I wish that through my visit, again this time, the very strong bonds that exist between India and Mauritius will consolidate further, and let us, in this very spiritual place, have the blessings of Gangama, both for India and for Mauritius.
Meanwhile, scores of tourists and pilgrims are also participating in the ongoing Kumbh Fair. Dressed in traditional Indian attire, several foreign tourists were seen soaking in the religious fervour and witnessing Hindu rituals in the holy city on Thursday.
Jai Shri Krishna. I love the Kumbh. For me, the Kumbh is heaven. It is a place of unity of consciousness, unity of humanity, where we come together to focus on God. This is everything. I feel bliss, anand, joy, very happy to be at the Kumbh.
Devout Hindus believe bathing in the waters of the Ganges at the time of Kumbh Fair brings salvation from the cycle of life and death. The festival, which comes once in every 3 years, is more than 2000 years old. It is a meeting point for Hindu holy men, some of whom live in forests or Himalayan caves.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Maldivian Defence Minister meets Indian counterpart in New Delhi. Pakistani court to hear pleas against verdicts in corruption cases against Nawaz Sharif on February 18th. And US assures troops pullout will not affect security, says Afghan CEO. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsia Newsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsia Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.